So, Catherine, why don't you say what the research is all about? Probably starting with a little bit of its history, but
Sure.
make sure you get to the design itself and what you're finding.
Great. Um, so, as you know, we've been working together for a couple of years, but the research on the structural dynamics model is 40 years old, and started with your extensive research in families in situ. It's just incredible. And now moving towards testing that model with organizational teams and leaders in corporations. And so that's really exciting. And that's why David and I, we've become partners in this, along with the Massachusetts School of Professional Psychology, who has an organizational leadership psychology department. So that's, the department the research is coming out of. And testing this model has been great because it's not like typical research where the teams are giving data and sort of putting up with researchers. They're actually getting a benefit along the way, which is a nice sort of balance in terms of, being an interventionist myself. You want to make sure the teams are getting something out of it. So our model is, we're in the pilot right now, even though we've been working on this for a couple of years, but the model is that ideally we'd want 3 teams in an organization so that we would have a control group and 2 test teams. And basically what we're doing is as the teams are doing their actual work, we're videotaping them and then we're transcribing those videotapes and coding that data with a team of coders. We ideally want to use larger organizations with 3 teams so that we can have a control team and then 2 test teams. So we can work with them to really see the effects of the interventions that are happening in the room. And that's what I like about this research, is that the teams are getting an immediate benefit and getting feedback. Even the control group, we're going to be filming, so they'll get feedback on their performance at the end, which is a nice balance and make sure the teams are, being able to work on their performance versus just, giving information to the researchers. But basically what we've been doing is in the pilot team anyway, that's a full intervention model where we're using the accelerated team performance stage 1, and we have an interventionist in the room after we get our baseline data. We take the baseline data so that we can understand how the team is interacting without us, just what's their baseline. We film that, we transcribe it, we have a team of coders coding all that data, and then I'm doing the analysis using, percentages and figuring out what people are actually doing in the room. And that data is just profound for these leaders and these executive teams, because when do you ever really get that? What you think you're doing in the room and what you're actually doing in the room. Then our interventionist comes in, and we're still filming, and they start to educate the team about the structural dynamics model and start making observations about what's happening in the room. And the idea is that by the end of the 8 to 10 sessions, the team members themselves are making these interventions. And they're what we call in the research end conversion points, where someone in the room wakes up to what's happening in the room and says, oh, wait, let's take a look at what we're doing here. Or let's take a look at what I'm doing here is really the first step. And we're starting to see this with our pilot team. And we'll see it with the other teams too, I'm sure. And so categorizing all that stuff and capturing all that data is great feedback for the leaders in the room to see how they're actually acting and their preferred communication styles, which are also backed up with the BPP, the Behavioral Propensities Profile, that they've taken. And then they can really see, well, my self-perception was here, but what I'm actually doing is here. And overlay that with high stakes versus low stakes, with different team members in the room in different settings, and that leader is getting those team members and leaders are getting a lot of feedback about how different group dynamics, different high pressure or low pressure situations can affect their own behavior. And with that feedback, they can then be more in control of it and change it. To be more effective. So that's the exciting thing about the research, as well as seeing these algorithms of not only stuck patterns, but really high-performing patterns under different situations, as well as, this is one of the few models and one of the few research projects and intervention projects as well, where the interventionist is also being held to task and seeing that the interventions that they make are also converting the team out of a stuck pattern, beyond, loggerheads to a negotiation, things like this. So that's what's really exciting about the research, because it's having a positive impact on our team, and also we're gathering this data and really analyzing what we're doing in the room and what's happening in the room, and giving back data and assess data versus just an anecdotal opinion, which can be what's happening with a lot of consulting. So I think this is a different model for those reasons, and a different project for those reasons.